Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Wamathai podcast. I'm joined today by Dan Aceda, and we'll be talking about exploitation in the music industry and also his experiences as a musician, for many, many years. Karibu sana, Mr. Dan.
Asante. This is take two.
I
This
know.
conversation.
but we've had very, very many conversations about,
Yeah.
about this
Yeah.
and I know like your many frustrations, but just introduce the topic in the sense that what's your experience?
No, for me, I would say that my experience in the music industry first has been positive. I mean, I've earned a living
Yes.
out of music,
Yeah.
even though there's been, as they say, challenges
Yes.
that I would say have occurred in the industry
Yeah.
that are structural. Because I think there's always been some behavioral challenges, but then
Yes.
also some structural ones.
Yes.
And I think
And
those
maybe
musicians.
and maybe flesh out like the structural ones and the other
Oh,
ones.
okay. So I think, like I've always said,
Yeah.
maybe start with the behavioral ones.
Yeah.
I think behavioral or social issues are like, musicians who don't rehearse,
Yeah.
musicians who don't do business development,
Mm.
people who are not, he's not running his business.
Yeah.
I think that's small, it affects a big part of his career,
Yeah.
no, or their career,
Yeah.
but doesn't affect like everyone.
Yeah.
But then structural things affect everyone.
Yeah.
And I've always felt in general
Yeah.
that Kenya doesn't understand copyright in general.
Yeah.
So, and we have a lot of work to do to help our country understand copyright.
Yeah.
But copyright affects everyone, including manufacturers.
Yeah.
But then in music and arts and I guess creative economy, when someone takes your copyright, they've actually taken everything,
True.
everything that you have.
True.
And so I think that's the biggest structural issue that um, Kenya needs to figure out
Mm.
so that we can then take not just a creative economy to the next step, but
Mm.
even the rest of the economy.
Mm.
Mm.
You have worked in the industry. You've also tried to set up, a CMO. How was that like?
There are very many challenges. First, the CMO, in the I would say CMO industry, CMO sector, they have some unique problems with with IP.
Yeah.
And that's if I remove the corruption. So let's say
Mm.
the problems are corruption 70%,
Mm.
and then now 30% is like the things we can fix.
What do you mean corruption? By
um,
corruption?
there's a long history of people just taking money from the account,
Yeah.
as simple as that.
Yeah.
And
So you
so,
collect all this money and
and
then it
then they
doesn't get
just
to that.
misappropriation.
Yeah.
So I'd say 70% of the problem is just that.
Yeah.
And then 30% is like how the CMOs were set up in the first place.
Yeah.
And maybe a good way to explain it is this: look, the oldest CMO is MCSK.
Yes.
They were set up in 1984,
Yeah.
but there was no law for them to operate as a
There was no
CMO,
framework.
no
Yeah.
framework
Yeah.
until 2001.
Yes.
So you see in there, there's a huge gap of basically wild, wild west.
Yeah.
And so this organization became a political organization. They
Yes.
became a political party. And then they started to do things and operate in ways that were, so these things became entrenched. They started to do
Yeah.
lawless things.
Yeah.
And these are entrenched things.
Yeah.
So by the time, the Kenya Corporate Board is actually operational, I think it's like 2007,
Yeah.
which is even later,
Yeah.
or 2008 or sometime.
Yeah.
There's just been a lot of time for basically lawlessness and
Yeah.
craziness.
Yeah.
Um, and so now, by the time, so this problem has been going on. Kekobo has tried different ways to deal with them. Kenya Corporate Board is now like the regulator of the sector.
Yes.
So they tried different ways to kind of regulate the sector, and they've had many different challenges. And I can't speak for them; they can come and speak for themselves. But fundamentally, one of the problems they had was the law.
Yeah.
The law only allowed for them to license. It
Mm.
didn't give any provision for them to deal with the issues.
Yes.
So over time, that law has been changed.
Yes.
And now they have some more provisions, they have more legal ways to deal with the
More
organization.
power.
Yeah. But they still have a structural issue, which is before Mpake, I can say the problem was that the organizations were collecting this money and then they were spending it in the same way you would spend in a regular business.
Yes.
And then they would declare a profit.
Yes. And then the profit is
Then the
now
profit is what they would say we
Yeah.
are distributing. So
Yeah.
if the organization collected 500 million, for
Yeah.
instance, they would spend 350,
Eh,
then declare 150 as profit. Then KRA takes a third, right? Because if you declare profit, now you have to pay income tax.
Yeah.
Then now, after declaring a profit, now they distribute what's left. So as a result, I think
Jesus.
the highest ever distribution of funds to Kenyan artists, no matter the collection, I think has never crossed beyond 25 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, no matter what the collection
Because
was,
of that.
because of this structure.
Yeah. But what's the desired structure? How should it work?
Yeah, yeah. So, like, if you look global standard, what people are doing out there is that CMOs have a hard limit of 30% for expenses. So
Admin. So
70%
yeah,
is
so
to
admin
is
is
for artists.
30%.
Yes,
Yes.
and that's a hard cap.
Yeah.
Like, you never go beyond 30%.
Yeah. So it could even be like 15%
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever.
Most the best CMOs in the world are operating between 8% and like 14%.
Mm,
They are not even doing 30.
mm,
So BMI, I think, is doing the latest BMI numbers. Is what I remember was like 16%, 14% there.
mm, mm.
So they are only spending 14% of what they collect. So that's a high rate of operation. Some Scandinavian CMOs are even doing 6%. So they're committing so much money to the artists. This was a conceptualization problem. The people running CMOs and the regulator themselves allowed this. It just didn't properly conceptualize this thing. And
Mm.
this was a central thing that we tried to do at Mpak. It was actually the most important thing
Yeah.
we achieved. We
Yeah.
said, when you collect the cash, expenses must be capped at 30%.
Yes.
And so then we introduced the idea that when you collect it, at the end of the month, when you reconcile, you actually withdraw that cash from the operational account. You withdraw 70% of that cash from the operational account and put it in a distribution account
Yes.
so that it's completely out of daily
Separate.
operations. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And so that's what we tried to implement.
Yeah.
I'm glad, like, after Mpake, we got out of the industry, Kekoba has actually implemented that as a policy. So now there's a distribution account where money is
Mm.
for all the three CMOs
And
these
then
days.
now operational
Now they
accounts.
withdraw it for the operation amounts, and those withdrawals are capped. And actually, Kekobo signs off on those withdrawals. So that's been a step forward.
Mm.
I don't know if they're going to implement the other things SKs were thinking, because SKs were very
Like
radical.
what?
You First of all, we digitized the entire system, and this is important. This is where the challenges started. We actually said that for you to become registered as a rights holder for music, part of your registration should include a link to your work that is publicly available. So in
Mm.
this case, so like, if you're a musician or you're a songwriter, whatever you are, put a link to the song you wrote
Mm.
on YouTube so that we
Yes.
can uh, reference it and go and check it out.
Yes.
You see, previously, what was occurring in MCSK and these other places is because one of the ways that they were pilfering
Mm.
is that you would be registered.
Mm.
For instance, you register me, then I go to the village and I bring 40 guys.
Eh?
And we say they are all musicians. These are all musicians from my village.
Mm-hmm.
So now when you distribute, they insist on a general distribution, what's called a general distribution, which
Mm.
is you
Mm.
take all the money that was made by the society,
Mm.
divide by all the members.
Oh my God.
Then now we give everyone the same amount of money.
But now these are people who are actually not musicians.
Correct. So now my deal with them is, me, I'll put you here for these chums, but
Mm.
half of your chums is mine.
Ah.
So MCSK, they say, we have 16,000 members. I promise you, less than half of that are actual musicians. If you
Oh
had to
my
say, "Sarah,
God.
show us your music," they won't pass half.
But now the regulator, what's their role in this? Because surely.
I think at the time, if I was to give them some credit, at the time they didn't have a budget and they didn't
Mm.
have a way of managing this.
Mm.
Like I said, the law was very thin. The law just
Mm.
basically said there'll be a CMO. There
Mm.
wasn't enough over there in terms of how you
Mm.
operationalize
The policy now.
policy.
Yeah.
No, actually legal. Because what they
Yeah.
would do whenever the regulator tried to do something,
Mm.
FCSK would go to court
Mm.
and quash it.
Yeah.
uh, you know, by alternative forum shopping, uh, everything they needed to do in court they would do, and just
Mm.
basically get the regulator out of their business. Because there
Mm.
wasn't a hard and fast law.
Mm.
The judge who's sitting
Mm.
would decide.
Yeah.
Yeah, and judiciary is not known for being like very switched on for copyright.
Yeah.
So there are,
IP conscious.
yeah, so there are issues there.
Mm.
And so MCSK kept outfoxing Kekobo.
Mm.
So when the Kekobo made the amendments, I believe it was like 2015, 2016,
Mm.
KJ
Mm.
pushed through those amendments.
Yes.
So shout out to him, did a good thing there.
Mm.
The Kekobo got more power to kind
Mm.
of control that.
Mm.
So now Kekobo is doing this thing called the National Rights Registry.
Mm.
So what they're encouraging is that the musicians
Mm.
and rights holders register directly with Kekobo first,
Mm.
then register with the CMO.
Ah.
And now register with your work because Kekobo gives you the copyright certificate anyway. So
Yes.
conceptually, it's a good idea. That
Yes.
look, you put here, you give you the copyright certificate, then
Mm.
you can go and now register.
In the same way.
Yes, but using this, so we have a way of now also double checking that data that those guys give us. So that's a good step, I would say.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit messy in terms of how it was brought in and everything,
Mm.
but it's a good idea.
Yeah.
That the regulators being more proactive
Mm.
in the issues that are in the industry.
And also currently there's no active sort of like CMO, no one has a license.
Yeah.
What's your comment on that?
I mean, I don't know what they can do because last year they had the 3 CMOs. They
Yeah.
collected all the money using an agent digitally,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It was all in a bank. It was all safe.
Yeah.
Then they're like, "Sawa, let's give you distribute."
Mm.
So they got the CMOs to sign agreements of how they'll distribute, 30%.
Yeah.
Then they transferred the money to the CMOs. Then the CMOs just ate the chums.
Oh my God. Like what?
So it was just as simple as that. Like they did all the things, collected it. Now
Yeah.
here's the cash. Sawa, here's the money, now distribute. Then
Oh
CMO is
dear
like, they
God.
just ate the money. So
And
people have been arrested. In that respect, like I'm aware that there are some cases and things,
yeah.
but the money is still gone, right?
My goodness. So where's the what? Okay, I mean, what is the? I mean, to be honest, I kind of feel hopeless sometimes. But what do you think can be done? Sort of like tighten, not just oversight,
Yeah.
but also to just get people paid. I mean, it should be, this money is for artists.
Yeah.
Why is it going to like a few people? I don't get it.
I think I have incendiary thoughts, but
Yeah.
in my opinion, the where we are requires
Yeah.
some extreme management ideas, yeah? Because
Yeah.
we are not in a place. Ideally, you'd like an industry that can self-run.
Yeah.
BMI is a private organization, it runs, ASCAP is
It
a
just
private
works.
organization, it
Yeah.
runs.
Yeah.
But where we are, because of what's been entrenched in these organizations, and also been entrenched in now the musicians themselves.
Yeah.
Because now musicians used to call me and say they want, I don't have fees. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't have fees? I don't have fees.
Mm.
So what do we do? Like, send me money.
Yeah.
I'm like, I would send you money based on what?
Mm.
But it says, no, I'm a musician. So I'm like, I don't get it.
Mm.
But you see what happens at MCSK, what used to happen at MCSK is that you could go to MCSK and just say you're a musician from Embu and you want money. And there would be 4-5K for you there to go home with. So this industry learned these things.
Oh, okay.
Niko na matanga.
Yeah.
So you go to MCSK, mi niko na matanga. They write your check, 100,000. So conceptually, it's nice to have a social protection thing, but it's not supposed to be popcorn, like just happening whenever.
It's
There has
supposed to
be
have a structure.
A structure.
Yeah.
So then we are not. But you
With, like,
see, the
follow-up
way
and-
it is right now is it's just it was a free for all. And so I feel like that's something on the artist side we need to fix. We have learned this very bad behavior. And then now we are kind of entrenching it. And that was actually one of Mpaka's biggest issues politically. Because we didn't want to play that game. We lost the support of a lot of musicians because of that. Yeah. They would say,
You
we won't
wanted
support you.
systems.
Yeah,
and
us guys were like, no,
structures
this is how we are trying to do it. We are trying to
Yeah.
follow the data. We are trying to. I was like, no. Send me 3K now. I have a problem.
And because you couldn't do that,
Yeah.
then
So that's one of the things I was saying earlier. This is a behavioral thing we must change. But in terms of the structural ones, I think government has to lead more, in my opinion.
yeah.
And I think the whole architecture of the industry has to change.
Yeah.
We can't it can't be any more left to chance. We can't leave it to the risk that those guys will do the right thing. because they've consistently done the wrong thing.
Yeah.
So now, in my opinion, if I was a regulator, I would actually take CMOs completely out of the operation of royalties,
Yes.
and now just have them there as representative, but not actually doing
Mhm.
any operations.
Yes.
So I'd find a way to collect money without them.
Mm.
I'd find a way to distribute money without them.
Yeah.
Them they just represent.
Yeah.
Yeah, just represent the people, help
So
us make a
basically,
better
basically
policy.
policy,
Yeah,
you know,
but I
advocacy,
wouldn't give them any
etc.
money. I
Yeah.
would give them money for the service they offer the system.
Yeah.
For instance, bring stats
Yeah.
of airplay.
Yeah.
For that we pay you.
Yeah.
Go bring a list of members from county that have earned this money.
Yeah.
We pay you.
Yeah.
Go bring. I would do that, but I wouldn't actually allow them in the actual money. That'd be. I don't know if government is allowed to do that, but I would run that thing without the CMOs at all.
Another sore point: TV stations, radio stations,
They don't pay.
they don't pay. So now,
But they haven't paid for 18, 20 years. Or whenever. I think they paid in the early 2000s and
yeah,
then they stopped. But you see, this problem also comes back to just government
yeah,
because that's a regulatory thing.
yeah,
The CA should be aware of that and should be
yeah,
able to step in and fix that.
yeah,
But the CA has not really been thinking about copyright.
yeah,
Kekobo themselves have also not had a great engagement with CA.
yeah,
Okay, now they're in the same ministry. So
yeah.
now I think that will
Maybe
improve.
now, yeah,
Yeah, but that's been a gap. But we have also to consider, and we have to consider another thing.
mm,
The way that the license is charged
yes,
is also funny.
yeah,
So we need to put logic. You can't charge somebody based on heads. We can't say you have a reach of 23 million, so your number will be 23 million.
yeah,
We can't do that. That doesn't make sense.
yeah,
So because you're punishing success, you know what I mean. You're not taxing successful stations.
yeah,
And I don't think that's a good model.
yeah,
So I don't think we should charge copyright by square foot. I don't think we should charge copyright per head. I don't think
yeah,
we should do that. I think we need to all come together and agree. For instance, let's do 0.5% of gross.
yeah. Revenue.
Yeah. So that number will come to 2M. I don't know, whatever percent, maybe
Yeah,
20M if you're a
yeah,
big station.
yeah,
But then you see that number,
yeah.
in my opinion, is more manageable.
True.
So that our first goal with not only stations, but like primary music consumers,
Yes.
which is stations,
Yeah,
transport industry,
yeah,
so matatus,
yeah,
taxis,
yeah,
and also bars and clubs.
yeah,
In my opinion, we need to go fast for compliance. So
yeah,
let's teach
mm,
the copyright. Let's
yeah,
have them paying,
yeah,
even if it's 500 bob every bar.
yeah.
Let's just get that consistently.
You start with that
Yes,
first.
because these guys don't understand
Yeah,
why we are charging them what we are charging them.
yeah,
So in my opinion, we should go fast for. I mean, Kempinski used to get a bill of 1 million
yeah,
for music license. That doesn't make sense. Why is Kempinski paying 1 million?
yeah,
Why? What music are they using there? That you know what I mean?
yeah,
But that charge was based on the square footage, the rating of the hotel, and all these things don't make sense to me because if I owned Kempinski, I wouldn't pay it.
yeah. That's actually quite a lot, and I feel like also something else we need to do is peg, rather, take advantage, of other license regimes to be able to fit,
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
this particular license in there. You need a liquor license, then it comes with
Correct.
now this,
Yeah, that's what
this
Mpake
this
proposed, and
yeah,
Perak was in agreement with us.
yeah,
Perak agreed that they would do. I forget the formula, but it was something like 10% of single business license,
mm,
uh, and 10% of your liquor license. So that if you are a restaurant,
yeah,
you just paid, because the argument was restaurants only operate until 8 p.m.
yes,
So our license should be lower.
yes.
A
And then
nightclub
at nightclub now,
operates longer and they use more
yes,
music
they use more
anyway.
music. Yeah.
So the idea was okay, then do 10% of these two. And so
Mm.
that was, they
So
were
I mean that
agreeable
makes
to that.
sense.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
are very agreeable to that.
that
But you
makes
see, if you
sense.
do that,
Mm,
then the Kempinski number comes from 1 million
mm.
to maybe 40K.
No, but a lot more people will pay, so
Exactly.
you actually make more
But
money.
that had huge issues in the CMO,
Mm,
other CMOs, because the other CMOs were seeing it as a
mm.
loss of revenue. We were
It
seeing it as an
no,
opportunity for
you're
compliance.
building when you're building the industry, you kind of need everyone to
Yeah.
contribute.
But they
And
didn't see it that way. That was the biggest issue. The reason
wow,
Parquet stopped working with Camp and Prisk is Camp and Prisk saw that they used to call them key accounts. They saw that thing of key accounts, Kenya Airways, Kempinski, five-star hotels, as a loss of revenue. We tried to
Jesus.
explain, but they would not listen. It was a big route. It was a huge issue. That was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Seriously.
Yeah, they're pissed off. They're pissed off.
And then now they choose to work with
They chose to go back to work with
to
MCSK.
MCSK, and
Yeah.
the MCSK, we
Then
know,
MCSK came back and now really did a number on them, and now everyone is unhappy.
here we are.
Yeah, but in my opinion, unfortunately, with that industry, and I committed, I think it was 2 or 3 years of my life.
Yeah.
The only thing I got out of there was death threats.
Yeah.
People following me in Nairobi trying to tell me they're gonna kill me.
Yeah.
Friendships with police so that I could deal with the death threats.
Yeah.
And then I lost money because I had to fund lawyers, to go help me with this or that. I paid out of my pocket almost $1 million bob to just
Wow.
help things and move.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I got out of there, and I would never go back. I don't think.
Actually, that's what I wanted to ask you, whether you can actually go back to like that.
Nope.
That
Nope.
management.
Nope. No, I'm not going back. I mean,
Yeah.
as a thinker, I think
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time analyzing the industry, and I
The
have a lot of
problems,
thoughts and
challenges.
and mapping it. So I
Yeah.
understand how it works, and
Yeah.
mapping the industry and how we could get it to work.
Yeah.
I'm happy to help in that way.
Yeah.
But if the government of Kenya is not firmly behind me in
Yeah.
such a thing,
Yeah. You're not doing it.
actually, let me put it this way: I would
Yes.
do it if I get a letter from the office of the president
Yeah.
telling me, "You, Dan Aceda, go do
Yes.
this thing, and I'm
Yes.
giving you this 150 cops with you.
Yeah.
Go do this thing." Now I'll say,
You can do it.
"Let's go."
I hope.
can do it. But
And I
otherwise,
hope.
I wouldn't do it because it's you see that web.
Yeah. Yeah.
That web is a mess.
Yeah.
You can imagine like money being collected from a bar in Garissa town or
Yeah.
a restaurant in Garissa town.
Yeah.
That money is collected in cash.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a team that goes there to effect the collection.
Yes.
So you can just see there's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
There's police that accompany these guys to do that.
Yes.
Again, because this collection currently is being done not from a partnership point of view, it's being done from a ugly enforcement. It's actually terrible.
It's
They come to your
true.
place,
It's
police,
true.
it's a mess.
Yeah.
That's what you're dealing with. To uproot that,
Yeah.
I need an army.
That's true.
Yeah,
Okay.
to change that thing, I need an army.
Yeah.
Because our idea was let's go through the associations. We said
Yeah.
work through PERAC
Yes.
and Matatu owners, and
Yeah.
then if they pay to the circles, the
Mm.
circle can pay to us.
Yeah.
And the circle
And it will be a lot of money.
and the circle
Yeah.
can charge a 10% for admin fee, and it's okay. Right?
Yeah, it's
Because the
fine.
circle has their 50 guys,
Yeah.
collect from your 50 guys,
Yeah.
do admin of 10%,
Yeah.
send to us a corporate money. In my opinion,
Yes.
that's fantastic.
And they can do better enforcement than
And
you
soft,
could
and we
ever
don't have to
do.
get involved.
Exactly. Yes.
But people are into this thing of let's take cops, let's go to the road, let's flag down the matatu, let's shake down the driver.
yeah.
That whole dramatic nonsense.
It's terrible.
And that stuff is entrenched.
Yeah.
So if I start in Nairobi saying,
yeah.
hey, we are changing that thing, do you know
Yeah.
how many livelihoods and many lines of
Wait.
cash I'm messing with?
That's true.
And I keep telling people, my analysis of the CMO industry back then was that it was 2B, 2.5B as a
At
whole.
the time.
But the only recorded number ever,
Mm.
500, 600 there.
Yeah. So,
That's only recorded number.
someone is basically
This gap here, it's
Yeah.
not going uncollected.
someone is collecting it.
Somebody is collecting and making this. So if I
Yes.
come and I'm trying to disrupt this thing,
Yes.
which is what we tried, which is why there are death threats.
Yeah.
So we're trying to disrupt that system. That
Yeah.
system goes all the way into the judiciary. People are eating.
Mm. Like it's a whole whatever corruption value chain.
Yeah, it's there. And it's
Yeah.
entrenched and it's been working since
Yeah.
2000.
Yeah.
So now if I come with these fresh ideas, tunatoa hapa, tunangoa hapa, my friend.
You'll die. So
Yeah.
that's why you need the
I
army.
actually need to get this
Yeah.
mandate. Mimi, I would do it only if it came
So
from the
office of the president, I hope you guys are listening.
And I can report there.
I hope you guys are listening. This man needs, an army to be able to like change this.
Yeah,
so hopefully,
there's no other way.
There's
Even
no
the
other way.
current regulator, I actually feel for the guy.
Kekobo.
Yeah,
Edward Sigay.
he's the MD,
Yeah.
executive director,
Yeah.
but he has a board.
Kekobo, yes.
The Motuma Matthews, I think, is the chair.
Yeah.
Those guys have a hard job.
Yeah.
It's not an easy job because you can write a board paper, you can write a policy
Yeah.
to actually effect this thing.
Implement and effect it.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
It's really tough. And people have said, oh, let's use KRA. Ha. You try.
Yeah.
It's another impossible thing. NMS has tried. It's impossible. You can't just show up and change this thing because the county used to collect the rates separately.
Yeah.
And there's an entrenched system for that.
Yeah.
Now you come, okay, we're going to use KRA. Hey, Jaribuni.
Wait.
It's a challenge. And so these things, that's what I'm saying. We're in an extreme situation.
Yeah.
It needs extreme measures. It needs, like, the only way to save this
Yeah.
industry, because
Yeah.
the other problem that we have,
Yeah.
and this is a critical part of all this,
Yeah.
the other social problem, because
Yeah.
we're like structural, behavioral. Now, the social problem is there's a whole big group of musicians,
Yeah.
right? Bona fide musicians, artists who should be earning royalties,
Yeah.
who have learned to eat from this system.
Ooh.
Yeah. They've learned a way, they have connected these things. So they have their own collection things.
Ooh.
And I have their names. I can say them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I
They
mean,
have
if
their
you
own
can
collection things.
I mean, say
They have their
that.
own things. So
You
those
could-
guys have now connected to the corruption.
Yes.
So when you come now to clean up, you're cleaning up even after a guy who you're actually supposed to be helping. He's
Yeah.
also in that thing.
He's also in that mix.
That's why. So that's the guy. The first time I got a phone call about stop what you're doing, it came from a musician.
Jesus.
It didn't come from the hooligans came after. But the first phone call was a musician.
What in the flying Jerusalem is
A
that?
very respected musician. I used to call him Dad because of how much respect I had for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I discovered that guy did his own collection system with receipt books and everything.
Ooh.
He was selling copyright huko mashinani.
Ah.
Now you are saying it has to be digital.
So digital now kills all
Breaks
these
that
things.
thing, right?
Okay, that
But
makes
receipt
sense.
books.
Receipt books. Yeah. Yeah. What?
And so if you think, that's what I'm telling you, the solution is the president has actually to, this thing has to be run,
Yeah.
unfortunately, it has to be run from a very resource intensive operational path.
Yeah.
That has to be, we do all the thinking,
Yeah.
we create the architecture,
Yes.
create the law that we need,
Yes.
and then the actual implementation.
Yeah.
I would need protection.
In the beginning, you can need protection because they are
would-
very entrenched
Kabisa.
interests.
Sana. And
Where-
everybody is actually, the other problem is that it has to be a clean slate because everybody is also involved right now.
Yeah.
Police,
At some level.
lawyers,
Yeah.
judges, artists.
Yeah.
This thing is 70% corruption, in my opinion.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You brought out an interesting conversation on Twitter a while back about churches and lack of payment.
Another group of thugs.
So tell me more about that and your experience with music and church.
Yeah, that's an interesting one as well. Because again, church, in my opinion, is the best school of music that the world has ever created.
Yeah.
Because you have an audience that comes every Sunday
Yeah.
and they're very forgiving.
Yeah.
You make a mistake, they just pray for you. Everything's fine. If you sing badly, it's okay.
Yeah.
No major consequences.
Yeah.
So I think as an institution for nurturing musicians, church is the best.
Yeah.
The problem with church is that they have misunderstood they've misread the value exchange.
Yeah.
I think there's room in the church for a value exchange where a musician is learning and then the church gives them this opportunity to learn.
Yeah.
And so there is a good value exchange there.
Yeah.
But once a musician becomes good
Yeah.
and then becomes a professional,
Yeah.
now that value exchange needs to be changed
Yes.
because the church is now offering nothing to this musician.
Yes.
And I unfortunately, churches have never, I would say Pentecostal and the church structure itself has never properly valued the contribution of musicians or even other, because they drive this volunteerism
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
And in Kenya, it's actually in Nairobi specifically, and Nakuru, because Nakuru is a big hotbed of churches and church musicians.
Yeah.
I think there's been a lot of exploitation around church because church believes that your skill and talent should be available to them for free.
Yeah.
And that is a fundamentally flawed belief, because the other layer of that is a church doesn't want you to make use of your gift anywhere else.
But they're not paying you.
They're not paying you here in church, but they don't want you to play in a bar. So that is creating a conflict that, in my opinion, at least, will lead to what's happening now is that church is hemorrhaging
Mm.
musicians and skilled people. They're
Yeah.
leaving.
It has always been like that,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah.
So, but now the rate is high
Oh, the rate is higher now.
because
Okay.
because we can learn music in other places.
Aha.
You see, initially
Aha.
we were learning in church,
Yes.
then we were leaving, but
Yes.
now we are not learning at all in church.
At all in church.
So,
Okay.
so people who are starting music, the next generation of musicians, this next generation of musicians that are now
will not
14,
have a
15,
church background.
they won't have a church background.
Yeah.
So who's going to play in church? Let's see you give a sermon that can be as exciting as one song.
So then, does that mean that the problem will be solved because they'll actually have to now pay these guys?
To some extent, I want that to happen. I want them to have
Yes.
no musicians.
Yes.
Then to have a now, let's have a service agreement.
Yes.
But for church's sake, I would say for their sustainability, because the other problem is that church, at the top, church has a lot of resources.
Yes.
I mean, CITAM, 1 billion, 2 billion, no?
They have
These guys
they have
at
they
the
have
top,
a
it's
lot of
heavy.
money. They have a lot of money invested in even bonds and like stuff. And
Kila kitu.
if you
They're
look at
rich.
those balance sheets out, they're all black. I mean, everything is good.
They're rich. They're
Yeah.
rich. But
Mm.
the bottom, that's the top 10% of church.
Yeah.
90% of church is broke.
Yeah.
Nothing. Now, the problem that is being caused at the top 10% will affect
Yeah. The bottom.
the bottom 90%. And so they have to figure out how they are going to. The top 10 has to solve this problem
Yeah. Yeah.
so that the bottom 90 can survive.
Yeah.
Because if they don't solve, the bottom 90 won't be able to survive this thing.
Well, I sometimes when I talk about exploitation in the music industry and the creative industry, sometimes I feel hopeless.
Mhm.
But then especially for you figured out, I mean, all the challenges and maybe how to fix them. So how do you see this space, moving forward? And do you think that people will just be one day, just something will just a blinding light will just come and then they'll change, and then now all of a sudden the music industry and the creative industry in Kenya will be free, and it will be all nice and we'll be all singing all the time?
No, I think we will get better,
Yeah.
but I think we will get better in small steps.
Yes.
So I think the idea that there's a Superman like that Superman of blinding light, that one won't happen. Even if the president gives me the army I want,
Yeah, it will take time.
I'll fix the structure, but you
Yes.
still have social,
Oh,
you still have issues
yeah.
that you must solve, which I
Yeah.
think are step by step.
Yeah.
So I think we will get there. Like, I think this government, for all their flaws,
Yeah.
this government has actually really tried
Yes.
to talk to creative economy, to try and
Yes.
find solutions for us.
Yes.
We've gotten the most amendments to the Kenya corporate bill that
This is true.
I've ever known about.
Yeah.
I understand there's even work on a completely new bill that's going on.
Yeah.
So to a large extent, I think there's a lot of hope. I think where we are, there's a lot of hope.
Yes.
And this government is actually quite interested. I'm not saying they're doing things, but I know they are interested in
Yes.
finding some solutions. So that's good.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the things we need government
Yes.
assistance.
Yes.
For example, and if government are listening, this is one of the things me I would suggest.
Yes.
Give the creative economy a tax code.
Yes.
Because right now we have like a tax code for theaters
Yes.
and like performance, but give the creative economy a tax code.
Yes.
That would mean that if you have a tax code 33 blah 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 blah, this is the code for
Yes.
that type of business.
Yes.
You can better manage the tax policy for people in that sector.
That's actually very, very
Because
true.
right now,
Yes.
operationally, even
Yeah.
if you give people a tax break,
Mm.
who do you give a tax break?
Yeah.
You have to give a tax code, a person with a specific tax code, the
Actually,
break.
that's actually pretty interesting, because also even within the creative economy, you can have
Several.
different ones, because sometimes um, you could have subsidies or whatever, but then
Put them in the tax code.
be in the correct one.
Correct.
Yes.
And you
Yeah.
see, if we get a small operational thing like that, for
Mm,
instance,
mm,
it can help us all
mm.
as businesses that are operating here
Yes.
find a way to now engage with government.
Yes.
Like the 100 million that was given for COVID
We
relief, yeah,
don't know where it went.
we don't know where it is,
Yeah.
but it could have been given in tax breaks.
Actually, that would have been better.
Yes,
Yeah.
so it would have been 100 million tax break. So
Yeah.
apply for a tax break if you employ four
I-
people, right? If you blah
yes.
blah blah, then all of us
Yes.
would have gone there with our employees and said, "I have
Yes.
employed these guys.
Yes.
Me, I'll pay the payee, but
Mm.
uh,
But hapa chini
cut from me
bana, yeah,
income,
yeah,
right?"
yeah,
And we could have done that. And there's
yeah,
100 million to do that, and there's an easy
yeah,
way to account for it.
yeah.
But so that's small things I think government can do.
Well, that's so interesting. Yeah,
And that would help us all as businesses operating
yeah,
in the industry.
yeah,
I think also just copyright IP education.
yeah,
We need that in school. So
yeah.
that we start in school and you come up knowing IP.
Knowing that you can, yeah,
So that when you become a judge
yeah,
later in life, you have the basic at least, even if you
yeah,
didn't do any IP courses.
yeah.
I also think judiciary, as CJ Martha Koome, needs to give us an IP court.
Court, yes,
Yeah.
actually, yes,
That
yes,
has IP trained.
yes. Judges,
Yes.
and
Because
obviously
right now we
support
go
staff.
to the
Yes,
other court for everything. Now,
yeah,
me, I filed a case there. My next hearing is in 2023.
yeah.
When will I get my justice? Surely. And I'm there
True.
with guys who have family issues, land. I don't know what. Me, my issue is IP.
True.
So even the day I get the
Yeah,
judge is just gonna leave a case for land and
yeah.
then come and say, okay, so what's your issue? Now I have to teach him IP first. Then I say, now this is my issue.
And I think also it's an indictment on the legal profession in general, because
Yeah.
sometimes I feel like for niches you'd find that there are very few
Yeah.
lawyers who actually understand, and if there are few lawyers, it means they're also very expensive,
Yeah.
which means that you as an artist are not going to be able to afford them.
Yeah.
So I feel maybe there
LSK, give us
LSK
a
need
thing
to
for
do
lawyers. Give us
something,
a
yeah.
pool of IP lawyers.
Because I think for digital rights it was the same thing,
Yeah.
and Bake and other and my friend Mugambi Laibuta, we went out there and got a grant and came and trained a bunch of lawyers
Yeah.
on digital rights, and it kind of helped
To move
to move things, because now you don't have like 3 guys, you have
At
now you
least-
have 20 more guys.
Yeah.
Now it seems like
It's
a
better.
hala.
Yeah.
It's a thing we can do.
Yeah.
So maybe that's something the legal
Yeah.
profession should
And
also
judiciary
try.
itself.
And the judiciary
Judiciary
as
should
well.
create a
Yes.
IP court.
I think so.
We need that
I think
for us
so.
to move to the next century.
Yeah.
No, we're already in the next century. To us move the next 40, 50 years,
Yeah.
the fights are not going to be about land.
I don't think
It's
so.
going to
It's
be
going
about
to be about
IP.
IP. Yeah.
And so
yeah.
that organization needs to
Yeah.
change.
That's
The AG's
true.
office,
Yeah.
they need an IP person. Like, you need an IP guy.
This is
Because
true.
the AG
This
is
is
representing
true.
Brand Kenya and so and so.
Yeah.
And Brand Kenya is doing corporate infringement.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
come on.
And then also advising the executive
All the state,
on
yeah.
yeah.
Like all that issues of, remember that time, the government stole our idea. That thing really should not be there.
Aki,
As a
Aki,
phrase,
Aki.
the government should not steal your idea.
They should be supporting you.
They should be supporting you. So
Yeah.
these are the things that I think we would do. And we are getting there. I think
Yeah.
government is changing.
Yeah.
And so I would give them that. The speed is slow, but I would say, we're getting there. But I'd say that's the way. We are going to, as an industry,
Yeah.
we also don't know enough. We have a
Yeah.
lot of people who are operating in this industry, making money from IP, making money, and they don't know enough about IP.
Yeah.
And so they're also a stumbling block,
Yeah.
because we try to solve a thing, but you need the guy to go to court, he won't go to court.
Yeah.
When it comes to court, I've had about so many cases where lawyers are like, we went to court to ask for a settlement.
Yes.
That guy got a call from the person we were suing.
Mm.
They gave him 100K chini ya waba, akachukua.
Ay.
So now you're in court prosecuting What? Because the guy you are talking to,
Yeah,
ashakula pesa huku chini, and maybe you're suing for 30, 40 million.
yeah,
But then this guy's offer him a million. He takes.
and it is what it is.
But that's lack of knowledge. So we have to incrementally do. But maybe my hope, the bottom line is, my hope
Yes,
is with the people who are right now in their lower 20s. That is
yes,
my hope.
yes.
Those guys don't
They
care.
don't care.
Na hao ndio watu mimi nategemea, because
Yeah,
they will move the needle very, very much um, uh, in the right direction.
yeah.
And also, there's a presidential transition coming next year.
Mm,
And I think with that presidential transition, I hope
mm,
there'll be a transition in the civil service, because our
mm.
civil service is old.
Yeah,
And so even just talking with them, these guys are in their 50s, 60s. Kuna vitu hatuelewani tu.
yeah, it's true.
And so I hope with the next administration, there'll be a move to lower the age of the civil service,
Yeah,
because a brand new president can do those types of things.
yeah,
And hopefully, if that happens,
yeah.
we can have a better conversation. Maybe somebody at Brand Kenya will be young enough to know, let's ask for permission before we use a photo. You know,
Massive.
that's the sensibility we are looking for. It's not even that you pay the guy a million.
yeah.
We're just starting with just ask.
Okay.
Just
And to be honest, and that makes sense. And it's interesting how we have all this, you can tell there's potential, a lot of value, and obviously very, very capable creatives. But here we are.
but we are
So
not in the government office. They put Ezekiel Mutua there. Just trying.
no, they fired him, thank God. But I kind of feel like it kind of seems like it's this
He
is
hired
where,
some people even.
yeah,
So stuck around.
yeah,
There's bullshit in this.
yeah,
But I think even that organization is changing. I think even that organization is changing.
yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna have to change.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for the fantastic conversation, and I hope that even if you don't live to see a better space for musicians and creatives, I hope at least your children will be able to, because I mean
Yeah.
these ideas are fantastic, and obviously you you had a great vision with Mpake, and my opinion, I think continue sharing these thoughts and ideas, because I feel like sometimes, especially when you're inside, maybe government, Kikobo, whatever, maybe you're not seeing like all these opportunities that you
Yeah.
see.
Or
I mean,
maybe you're
continue
swamped.
sharing, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, things change in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
sense
yeah.
that
Things-
like there's a regime change next year.
Yeah.
Hopefully, there'll be other
Hopefully.
people,
Yeah.
other people who
Yeah.
see sense in supporting the creative economy. So
Yeah.
keep sharing.
No, I mean, thanks. And I think the
Mm.
people in Mpake, me in Mpake, I found it, and I just joined them.
Yeah.
But the true visionaries there were Calvo Mistari,
Yes.
DNA.
Yes.
They're the guys who are ahead in terms of thinking
Mm.
about this. And so I just want to prop them, because they, other guys can BK Amelina. Amelina Monesi was actually quite instrumental in setting up Mpake. Those were clever people that were already seeing where things could be. So they created the space that we could then join and try and help. And I think that's important. So you see now the next move, the next organization people create has that experience, and hopefully things.
This is
So I'm
true.
I'm pretty hopeful. I actually think, forget the people that are far down who are like kids. These guys who are just joining the industry, 15 years, 16 years, I think they will find a better industry. So I'm pretty hopeful already.
Me too.
Mm.
Me too. Asante sana.
Cheers.
All right.